welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 452 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, I'm going to ask you to agree with me and ask you to hear me out. It's such a good feeling when football starts. Now, yes, everyone knows that I'm more of a basketball guy. Basketball is my favorite sport. But I do love the NFL season. I do love football season. It brings on a level of energy. It brings on a level of competition. It brings on, fanatics of a certain team, of a certain player. I just love it all. Obviously, I would like my team to be good, but I don't foresee it. I'm not one of those people that have attached to a good team, unfortunately. I'm from DMV, so the Commanders, I'm excited about Jaden Daniels, but we'll see. But with the NFL season starting, we had it's important for a season. It's important for the NFL to start on a good foot. Not saying that if it starts on a bad foot, no one would watch, but you want people to get hooked quickly. You want people to get hooked from night one. And I think the Chiefs and Ravens game was the perfect appetizer to what this season is going to be, or first course, let's say, to what this season is going to be. As I'm recording this now, it is late Friday morning / afternoon. So the Packers and Eagles game has not happened yet. That's happening tonight in Brazil. I have not. So I'm going to obviously give a prediction about it, but by the time you guys watch this or listen to this, the game would have been over. So my prediction can be extremely wrong. I'm just giving you a caveat now. But there is so much to take from that Chiefs and Ravens game, and that's kind of what we're going to do. I'm going to break down this game and give you almost every access point to what we can take from this game, some of the positives, some of the negatives of both. We are going to break down the Chiefs beating the Ravens 27-20 in the season opener. Let's first start, obviously, with the Baltimore Ravens, seeing as though while they did lose the game, there's a lot more storylines coming out of Baltimore and how we should view Baltimore after this game than the Chiefs. When you're great, expectations change. It would be foolish to expect someone that is new, someone that hasn't shown the ability to be great. It's almost naive to expect them to do great things. I'm not saying that the expectations can't change. There's people in football that start off slow and then have an incredible career. The expectations change because we've seen that they can perfect example, Jordan Love. It was naive at first to expect Jordan Love to be great. The limited times we saw him, he didn't look that good. He looked okay in Nevada, but he didn't look like a franchise player. And obviously you were backing up Aaron Rodgers. And every single time he had a shot to be on the field, it didn't look the best. So it would be naive to think that he would go on to be a great quarterback or go on to be a quarterback that can lead the Green Bay Packers to the heights that they are kind of accustomed to with the great quarterbacks that they've had. However, we've seen more footage. He's improved. And now the expectation on Jordan Love are a lot higher than they were when we first seen him because we've gotten more information. He has gotten better. And with him getting better, expectations rise. Why am I talking about this? Lamar Jackson has put himself in a tier that warrants high expectation. Lamar Jackson, almost everywhere he's gone, whether we talk about high school, whether we talk about Louisville, now Baltimore, everywhere he's gone, Lamar Jackson has shined. He was a highly recruited player in Florida. He won the Heisman at Louisville. And he's currently a two-time MVP in the NFL. He also Thursday's game became the third player in NBA or NFL history he became the third most. He has the third most rushing yards in NFL history, just trailing Cam Newton and Michael Vick. That's what Lamar Jackson has done in just a short period of time. And unlike someone like Jordan Love, which we just spoke on, we saw greatness in Lamar Jackson very early. Nearly his first season as a full-time starter, which I think was his second season, Lamar Jackson showed us exactly how good he could be. So when you get to this game and you hear all the chatter as to how good can Lamar Jackson be, there's only one team that is his hurdle at this point. Lamar Jackson has to beat the guy, which is Patrick Mahomes. That is because it seems like outside of winning a Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson has checked every single box, whether people want to admit it or not. He's checked every single box but that Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs box. What is that Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs box? Lamar Jackson apparently is 20-1 against the NFC. Lamar Jackson has a winning record, I think, against every team in the NFL outside of three. The Tennessee Titans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. In fact, Lamar Jackson now is 1-5 against Patrick Mahomes. Meaning, there's no denying how good Lamar Jackson is. No denying it. There's no denying that when we talk about some of the great quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson has a winning record against damn near everyone outside of Patrick Mahomes. Now, yes, I know he does not have I don't think he has a winning record against the Titans and the Steelers, but we're just talking about singular quarterbacks. Singularly, Lamar Jackson is 1-5 against Patrick Mahomes. And the expectation rises year after year for Lamar Jackson. Last year, the Ravens were arguably the second or third best team in football. There were good portions of the season where they were the best team. They had a historic defense. Lamar Jackson was obviously great enough to win his second MVP. Yet they could not beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Going into Thursday's game, I don't know if you guys remember, but I said that Lamar Jackson doesn't necessarily have to win this game. It's just game one. I mean, I think last year game one is just game one. Obviously, you want to start the season on a good foot, but it's just game one. But I said that this game was a little bigger than just a game one. Even though I did not think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens had to win, what I did say was it had to be competitive. You can't get blown out. You can't look inferior on a field when a lot of people are saying that you're as close to Patrick Mahomes' peer as he's going to get. And I said that Lamar Jackson had to play well. That's what it had. That's what has to happen. Again, I didn't say they had to win. I just said you can't leave any doubt. You can't come into or leave the game doubting how good Lamar Jackson is or how far away Lamar Jackson is compared to Patrick Mahomes, because I think it's a unilateral idea and a unilateral acceptance that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the world. I'm sorry. Number 2, because I totally forgot about the flag football guy. I'm sorry. I don't want to disrespect anybody. At the end of the game, Lamar Jackson threw for 273 yards and rushed for 122 yards. I think this is the 17th game in his career where he threw for over 100 yards and rushed for over 100 yards, which you don't obviously see a lot. In all intensive purposes, Lamar Jackson had a great game. If Lamar Jackson played anybody else, not named Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, there would be no question that he would leave the game as the MVP of that game, and 9 times out of 10, the Baltimore Ravens would win. But obviously, we're talking about that 10th time. We can talk about the last second catch that, if you want to harken back to Kevin Durant on the Brooklyn Nets going against the Bucks in the playoffs, and how Kevin Durant, I think it was game 7, a big toe. That big toe that was on the line, that's pretty much what we saw on Thursday night with Isaiah Likely, who also had the game of his life. Isaiah Likely had a game so well. That game was so good. You have people now saying that Isaiah Likely is probably the number 1 tight end on the Ravens, even with Mark Andrews, because Mark Andrews really didn't do anything the whole night. But we can talk about the toe that was out of bounds. That was an incredible pass and an incredible catch at the end of the game that a lot of people, I thought it was good until obviously they showed the replay. You can talk about the fact that Lamar Jackson put this team in position to win time after time again. They just came short. There's a lot of talking points you can take from this game. You can take the fact of Zay Flowers is kind of turning in, or has turned himself into a number 1 receiver. You can talk about the fact of, for some reason, which I don't understand why, they didn't really feature Derrick Henry, even though he did have a touchdown the first drive of the game. They didn't feature him as much as I thought they would, especially when he was touted as the I guess you can say, signee of the offseason. So I was kind of surprised that he didn't get as many touches, especially in that second half, that I thought he would. Now, you can also credit that to Steve Spagnuolo and the defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. They did an exceptional job stopping the run outside of Lamar Jackson. But I still kind of like going back to the AFC Championship. And that's another thing. When they abandoned the run for the AFC Championship, that really cost them dearly in that game. So I don't understand why they would abandon the run, especially after Derrick Henry, rushed for the touchdown. But that's neither here nor there. I think the biggest point I took from this game, and you hear it too. You hear it. You heard it on First Take. You heard it on whatever show. It's on FS1. You hear a lot of people talk about it. I said, you can't leave any doubt. And there was two. Lamar Jackson did miss some wide receivers the entire night, but the two that is going to come back and haunt him, or came back and haunt him, was the one to Isaiah Likely in the corner of the end zone, where Lamar Jackson overthrew it and looked like Isaiah Likely broke his collarbone. But obviously he came back. But that Lamar Jackson overthrew that one. And the one that we thought was for Zay Flowers, but actually it was for Rashad Bateman. The one that Zay Flowers was wide open and Lamar Jackson just threw behind him, which then led to the Isaiah Likely catch that was obviously out of bounds. But, and I said it, I said, if you're Lamar Jackson, you don't have to win, but you can't leave any doubt. And I think Lamar Jackson had a great game. Obviously, it's tough, especially when your offensive line, who is new, pretty much, most of them are young. The offensive line did not do their job majority of the night. They had 7. Just the Chiefs alone. Not Chiefs. Just the Ravens alone had 7 illegal formations. Apparently, the NFL is cracking down on linemen that are lined up a little bit past or a little bit behind the line of scrimmage because they may struggle in one area. They're going against a superior pass rush, and they want to give themselves more of an advantage. So they kind of start behind, just ever so slightly behind the line of scrimmage, so that, it gives them time to react a little faster. Well, the NFL is cracking down on that, even though the Chiefs, I forgot his first name, but Taylor, who was the most penalized lineman last year, he did it countless times. And we saw it in, what's his name? Chris Collinsworth pointed out damn near every time. He kept doing it. And I don't know if he got flagged once, maybe twice, maybe once, but he didn't. He did it all night. But to have 7 illegal formations on the Baltimore Ravens, I think 5 of them being the linemen, 3 of them being Ronnie Staley, that's not going to bode well for you, brother. But I said you can't leave any doubt, and that's exactly what Lamar Jackson did with those 2 plays, with those 2 passes that I'm sure he would love to have back. Because you see it. You hear it. All the talking points you hear. Lamar Jackson has to be better. Lamar Jackson this, Lamar Jackson that. Lamar Jackson can't win the big game. Lamar Jackson can beat everyone, but he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. You're hearing it. As I said that you would hear it. But the biggest, for me, and I know that I haven't even said the point yet, and I am a Lamar Jackson fan. Let's not get it twisted. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I have no problem admitting that. I also have no problem admitting when Lamar Jackson needs to be better. Again, yes, those 2 passes, the one to Isaiah Likely that would have got them 7 points, or at least 6 points at the end of the game, at the corner of the end zone, and the one with Zay Flowers cutting, those 2 were on Lamar Jackson, even though the second one, he thought Rashad Bateman was going to stop. But still, Lamar Jackson has to throw a better pass. I will not absolve Lamar Jackson of some of his he fumbled the ball and lost the fumble. That's one of Lamar Jackson's biggest hindrances to him, is he fumbles the ball a lot. Now, a lot of it is, the way that he holds the ball as he's trying. He is the most elusive quarterback in NFL history, in my opinion. And he's continuously climbing that rushing yards record, or he's climbing to get to that rushing yards record, which he probably will get in the next 2 to 3 years. But I'm not, as a fan, I'm still objective. I will never just sit here and say that he's a perfect player. Again, there were some passes that I'm sure he wished he would have back. But the thing that the biggest takeaway that I got from this game, and I've known this, but it was extremely apparent. I think Patrick Mahomes has a winning record against every single quarterback outside of maybe one or two. And I think those one or two, he might have I know he has a losing record against Joe Burrow. But I think Patrick Mahomes has a winning record, or at least a 500 record, against every single quarterback in the league. The biggest takeaway I took from this game is you have to play perfect against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. You heard it all through the telecast. If you did watch the telecast, they were bigging up Patrick Mahomes. I guess like he's the next coming, which he probably is. Of Tom Brady. And you saw there were moments that I think I counted 5 moments that lost 5. Think about it. In a game that has over 100 plays for both teams, 5 moments captured the win for the Kansas City Chiefs and lost the game for the Baltimore Ravens. One of them was obviously the Xavier Worthy first touchdown, where if you just would have shifted the defense in the proper space, you would have been able to get him, but you didn't. You can also talk about there was a huge, Lamar Jackson had like a 25 or 30 yard run that was called back because of a offensive holding. And that would have set up at least a first down in scoring position. Also think about Justin Tucker, who is Mr. Automatic. He missed, I think, a 56-yard or 54-yard field goal. You can talk about the roughing the passer that had, or the late hit that I think the one time they called illegal formation against the Chiefs, it was negated by a late hit. Or you can talk about the roughing the passer against, I don't know exactly I don't remember what his first name is, because it was Justin Metabike, but he changed his name, so I apologize that I don't remember the first name at the time. And then, of course, the two throws that I'm sure Lamar Jackson would have to have back at the end of the game. Those moments dictated this one for the Chiefs and the loss for the Ravens. Again, Lamar Jackson was great in my opinion. I think some of the play calling was a little questionable. Again, why wasn't Derrick Henry featured more? Especially when a lot of the talk around this game was Derrick Henry's impact and what his impact would have been in the AFC Championship a year ago if he was on the Ravens. So I would think that you would want to feature him a lot more than they did. Obviously, I'm wrong. But you hear it. Lamar Jackson did not play perfect, and you have to play perfect against the Chiefs in Arrowhead, might I add. Because on ring night, any mistake. Let's not get it twisted. I don't care what the money line is. I don't care what the betting lines are. You're always, I don't remember the last time the Kansas City Chiefs were underdogs at home. We talk about what's a good home crowd? When you go to college football, we talk about Penn State, especially the whiteout game. It's very difficult to play Penn State in the whiteout game because that is the ultimate home field advantage. Or Texas A&M, or Alabama, or Oregon. Those home fields are a little different. Not just saying those, but there are home fields that are different in most sports. That's in basketball as well. Playing the Boston Celtics at home in a big game is different. The Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs probably has the best home field advantage in the NFL. You can throw that up there with the 12th man and the Seattle Seahawks. You can kind of throw that up there with Philadelphia. It's just different when you play those teams at home. And playing the Kansas City Chiefs at home is if you're not perfect, you will lose. And we're talking about, to me, my opinion, the second best quarterback in the league had, I'll say, about 3 or 4 throws the entire night I'm sure he would like to have back. Or let me say, at least 3 throws he would like to have back and the fumble. 4 plays go differently, I'm sure the game changes. But it didn't. So, I'm not going to sit here and bury Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson was great. And I also think that, for me, I think it was a good game. Obviously, there's things that you would work on, especially the offensive line. But it's tough. And they lost. And now they lost, and a lot of people are going to say they lost because Lamar Jackson missed those 2 throws, leaving doubt. So you're always going to have people, and I've heard it all morning. Lamar Jackson was great, but there's always a but. And it also goes back to expectation. When you're Lamar Jackson, when you're as great as Lamar Jackson is, and you've proven that you can be elite throughout the entire league, but you have this one blemish, and that blemish is you're 1-5 against the Patrick Mahomes. You cannot leave any doubt. Even if you lose, it has to be a close game, which obviously it was, but still. If you're not perfect against Patrick Mahomes, you're not beating him. And that's going to take me over to the Kansas City Chiefs side. I will say this. I've been saying this throughout the offseason. I've been saying this since the draft when the Bills helped the Kansas City Chiefs get Xavier. Last year was the year. Last year is the main reason why I'm not going to say expect, but I have confidence that the Kansas City Chiefs can become the first team in the Super Bowl era to three-peat. And I say last year, obviously they won, but I say last year because, and I've said this throughout the offseason, last year was the year to get them. Their offense was sputtering. They led the league in drops by a good margin. Things just weren't going right offensively. Defensively, while their defense was really good, They had holes in certain situations throughout the year. It just. Let me give you a story. Every fighter will tell you that they want to beat their opponent when they're 100%. Every fighter will ever will tell you that. It's like a sense of pride thing. It's like, hey, I don't want to beat you when you're hurt. I don't want any questions as to who is better. And obviously, somebody being hurt, somebody, not being 100% does leave room for interpretation. Let's just say that. Every fighter will say that they want to beat their opponent when they're 100%. Because it sounds good. And deep down, if you want to consider yourself the best, you want to beat the best. But the truth of the matter is every fighter wants to win. And if there is an advantage for you to win that is legal, a fighter would love an advantage because at the end of the day, they want to win. Yes, you want to beat someone at 100%, but you wouldn't mind if they're at 75 because that gives you an advantage. Again, it's not glorified to say, but you wouldn't mind getting help to win because you won at the end of the day. Last year, the Kansas City Chiefs was the wounded fighter, was the fighter that if you were going to knock off the Giant, that was the year. Because now look, they're fully healthy. Fully healthy. I know L'Jarius Sneed's not there. And I do think that there were times in the game where the secondary was kind of lost, kind of beat. So I think that that's something to definitely watch moving forward. But there was times when, in fact, a lot of times, a major reason, let's say, that this Kansas City Chiefs team not only won last year, but won Thursday night was because of their defense. I know when you have Patrick Mahomes, it's not going to be talked about a lot, but there is no question that the Kansas City Chiefs have at least a top 5 defense. And you have Steve Spagnuolo, who is known to be an incredible defensive coordinator. With Chris Jones and Bolton and Reed, it's they have a top tier, one of the best defenses in football. Even with losing L'Jarius Sneed, who just put them over the top last year, they still have an incredible. You still have arguably one of the best, if not the best, defender in football in Chris Jones, who wreaked havoc on the newly formed Ravens offensive line. But the defense is retooled. Everyone's healthy. Even though both Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews were pretty much no-shows the whole game, you still have Travis Kelce. Isaiah Pacheco had huge run after huge run. The one that comes to mind is when they tackled him, but he never touched the ground because his body fell on the Ravens' opponents. And he got up and ran for another 10, 15 yards. You had the wide receiver core, Rashid. First of all, it's still crazy that he's even playing right now. But Rashid Rice was going off, as well as Xavier Henry. And you obviously have Patrick Mahomes. Samaje Perine even had a good game. I know it was very limited, but he even had a good game. I said it before and I'll say it again. When you have an opportunity to do something, when you have an opportunity and there is an advantage for you to slay the giant, you want to take that opportunity. Because they're seeing as though they're the giant, they're the ones. It's likely that you may never get that opportunity again. And I'm not saying that the Kansas City Chiefs will just rattle off Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, Super Bowl, but this team, at least after week 1, seemed much better than it did a year ago. And they won the Super Bowl a year ago. Mind you, Hollywood Brown didn't even play. And the score could have been a lot worse if Juju Smith-Schuster, who they re-signed or brought back from the Patriots, if he didn't drop a sure first and goal opportunity catch. Mahomes didn't even have the greatest game. He had a good game, don't get me wrong, 291 passing yards. He had a good game. But yeah. What this game showed me, now obviously barring injury, knock on wood, I hope everyone is healthy. I hope everyone on every team stays healthy. I know that's unrealistic in this sport, but I want health for everyone. But what this game showed me, in the overlining point of it all, is for the Ravens, I think they're going to have a really good season. Very good season. I think if and when they get their offensive line together, that's going to unlock this team because their defense still looks pretty good. Yeah, there were mess ups and there were miscommunications, but again, that's game 1. The Ravens are going to be extremely good. The Chiefs are going to be extremely good. And it's going to take a perfect game to beat this Chiefs team. Because again, the Chiefs won and Travis Kelce ain't do nothing. Hollywood Brown didn't play. And they still won. Shouts out to the Kansas City Chiefs for beating the Baltimore Ravens 27-20. I know that people are going to focus heavily on the missed passes from Lamar Jackson, but I'm going to focus on the fact that he threw for 273 yards and rushed for 122 yards on a newly formed offensive line that was getting torched. And if it wasn't for Big Toe from Isaiah Likely, we could be having a different conversation. But we're not. So, and on the Chiefs side, I know it's just game 1. But everything on paper that I thought kind of came to fruition. They look much better than they did last year. They look more in sync. And they just their defense looked ferocious, even with losing L'Jarius Sneed, who's one of the best defenders in football. I think this is going to be a great season for both the Chiefs and Ravens. And I know it's the only 2 games as I'm recording that I've seen, and the only 2 teams that I've seen. But I think that both of these teams, there's a good shot that they will see each other again, possibly in the AFC Championship. We'll see. Speaking of we'll see, let's give my predictions for week 1 games that, are happening on Sunday and obviously tonight, which is Friday. Let's start with the Packers and Eagles game. Let me first explain to you If you don't need, bro, look, I'm gonna be real with you, man. I've said this before, and the NFL, time after time after time again, continues to prove me right. And if you still have any question on if the NFL really cares about their players more than they care about their bottom line, more than they care about the money, this game should prove it to you. What factors do we know about Brazil? I think they're playing in Istanbul, and it is one of the most populated places in the United States. I don't know if it is the most, but I know it's one of the most populated places. And the NFL is always about growth as far as trying to grow their brand, trying to grow just the name, the NFL. And it would make sense to go to Istanbul, Brazil, if you're going to expand the game, to have a game. It makes perfect sense. If it wasn't for the high gang affiliated crimes in Istanbul. If it wasn't for the fact that the gangs pretty much run Istanbul. You know it's bad when the teams have been ordered to not leave their hotel unless going to the field. You know it's bad when they've been informed that they're not allowed to wear the color green. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, that makes sense. Wait. Isn't the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles two major colors is green? Yes, yep. Hasn't their players like Darius Slay and a good number of both Eagles and Green Bay Packers players have come out saying that they don't feel safe playing this game, and they have to obviously, but they don't want to play in Brazil? Yes. But ask me if the NFL cares. They do not. Because the NFL knows that this is an opportunity to get new faces, more money, and that's what they're going to do. Again, you have the Buffalo Bills, you have the Steelers, you have the Texans, you have the Colts, you have the Ravens, you have the Chiefs, even though they're not going to do that, seeing though the Chiefs just won. But you have the 49. You have an endless supply of teams that primary colors are not green. Yet you choose the Green Bay Packers and the Eagles. Yeah, man, doesn't seem like the smartest thing to do, but I digress. But again, I'm predicting this because it hasn't happened yet. I'm recording this at this point. It is Thursday or Friday afternoon. So the game is tonight. So I'm giving my predictions. I think that this is a very important game for both teams, especially when you talk. Let me say this. I think there's more at stake, and there's more that needs to be proven for the Eagles than it is the Green Bay Packers. I think the only thing that kind of needs to be proven with the Green Bay Packers was last year a fluke when talking about Jordan Love. They just gave him his new contract. The contract puts him, whether justified or not, it puts him in the realm of an elite quarterback. When you pay somebody as much as the Green Bay Packers pay Jordan Love, they view him, not just fans, not just writers. The Packers view him as an elite quarterback. And you're going up against a team that is looked to be elite as well. So kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore Ravens when we talk about Lamar Jackson going against the Chiefs. I'm not saying Jordan Love has to beat the Eagles, but you can't get blown out. You can't look terrible. You can't look like the moment is too big, because then they're going to start to be like, hold up. Oh, we paid this man how much money, and he looks scared. He looks lost against this team. Again, I'm not saying they have to win. They just have to look good. For the Eagles, however, this is a team that was 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. And last year, for a good portion of the year, looked like one of the best teams in football. And then they just fell off a cliff. Like, I've never seen a team collapse the way that the Eagles did. And there are major questions now about Nick Sirianni and his coaching. About, is Jalen Hurts a solid quarterback? Can this defense get back? I mean, you hire a whole new coaching staff. There is a lot of questions. You bring on Saquon Barkley. You bring on someone like Devontae David. You bring on these pieces. They want to know, okay, was last year or the end of last year, is that behind us, or do we have to be concerned? Let's not get it twisted. The Eagles, roster-wise, is one of the best rosters in football. But that doesn't negate the question that they have. Can this team, can Jalen Hurts thrive without arguably the greatest center in NFL history in Jason Kelce? These are all questions that need to be answered. I'm not saying they need to be answered game one, but you can't come out and lay a dud. You can lose, but you can't lay a dud. So I say all that to say I have the Eagles winning this game. I think they understand. First of all, they, on paper, are the better team. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. Like I said, you have Saquon Barkley. You are the better team. But you have to play like it. You also have C.J. Gardner. I forgot about. You have the better team. I'm not saying you have to lose, or I'm not saying you have to win, but you can't get. Come on. Come on. I have the Eagles winning this game because I think they understand and they should know that there's a little more pressure with them right now than the Packers. Especially if you talk about the entire team and the coaching staff at that. So I have the Eagles winning in Brazil. Steelers and Falcons. Damn near everything I said about the Eagles as far as the pressure, as far as expectation, you have to put on Russell Wilson in this Pittsburgh Steelers. I've talked about the relationship between the Steelers and Justin Fields, the Steelers and Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, and just how important this season is for both Fields and Wilson, for both their careers moving forward. One person is fighting to stay in the league, which is crazy to think that a person that was 5 or 6 years actually maybe longer than that, maybe 8 or 9 years removed from being in his second straight Super Bowl, is now fighting to stay in the league, compared to one person that is fighting to stay relevant. Because obviously being in the league or being out the league is worse than not being relevant. But when you're a quarterback that was drafted as high as Justin, you want a perfect example? Where the hell is when's the last time you checked up on Mitch Trubisky? You can say that Justin Fields is better than Mitch Trubisky, and I agree. But that's what happens when you become an irrelevant quarterback. When's the last time you're checked up on Mitch Trubisky? A person that was drafted, I think he was drafted number 1 over Deshaun Watson, I believe. Where's Mitch Trubisky? That's what I'm saying. You're fighting. You don't want to be irrelevant, and that's kind of what the Steelers and not Steelers, more specifically Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are fighting. This is an extremely important game. This is an extremely important season for Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson did not look the greatest in I mean, he barely played due to injury, and now they're saying that he might be injured game one. Look, the Steelers need to win this game. You're going up against a Falcons team that you still have question marks. Is Kirk Cousins ready? I don't even know if is Kirk Cousins ready? They still have a young squad. Their defense still isn't the best, even though they do have Jesse Bates. Yeah, you need to win this game. There is all the pressure in the world is on the Steelers, and I have the Steelers winning. You have to know that you have to come out the gate. You have a great roster, especially when you talk about the defensive side of the ball. You have to win. So I have the Steelers beating the Falcons, even though I think that the Falcons are going to have there's a potential that they have a really good season. Going out the gate, the Steelers need to win this game. So I have the Steelers winning. You have the Bills and Cardinals. I think the only thing the Cardinals have going for them is they have Kyler Murray and they have Marvin Harrison Jr. They have some pieces. Buda Baker's on the defensive side of the ball. Like, they have some James Conner, but the team still isn't good. They're young, but they're not good. I think maybe in a few years, if this team stays together and they all grow the way that they're supposed to grow, they have a chance to be really good. But a few years is not now. And yes, I understand that I didn't crap on the Bills, but I did point out the fact that the Bills have had a lot of movement this offseason. I mean, your top two, let's say, wide receivers are gone, and Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, and you hope someone like Keon Coleman can be the one. So, but you still have, to me, the best player that will be on the field in Josh Allen between both teams. So I have the Bills winning. I don't think it's going to be easy or whatever or anything, but I do have the Bills beating the Cardinals. Titans and Bears. This is I'm not going to say a huge game for the Bears, but when you're someone as highly touted as Caleb Williams is, and Rome Odunze, and just the makeup of this team that is the Bears, there's a lot of expectation on the Bears this year. There are people, I'm not one of them, but there are people that are saying that the Bears are good enough to at least make it to the Super Bowl. That's how much faith they have in Caleb Williams. I know I'm not saying that you have to win, but you have to. They don't call anybody a once-in-a-generational player. I think you have to look good. You have to look up to par. And you're going against a team that isn't offensively, they're not the best, even though there's still question marks, I'll say, about Will Levis. But defensively, you still have Simmons. Like, this is a good defensive team. I think the Bears are going to win, though. I just, again, from what I saw in the preseason, you still have DJ Moore, you still have Keenan Allen. I don't know about the whereabouts of DeAndre Swift. I don't know about that one, but I got the Bears winning. I think that they're better than they should be better than the Titans. So, Patriots at Bengals. This is one of those games where I'd be shocked, even with the dysfunction that you saw with Jamar Chase. Even if Jamar Chase doesn't play, as we speak right now, we don't know if he's playing or not due to obviously his contract holdout, even though he did play in the last practice that they had. You also don't know if T. Higgins is playing because apparently he has an injury. The Patriots are not good. Like, your best player right now is probably Christian Gonzalez, and he was injured all of last year. So, I just don't. Yeah, I don't see much. So I got the Bengals winning. I just, even with your top one or two best receivers, I just don't think the Bengals are going to lose to the Patriots. So, Texans at Colts. This is a sneaky good game. You have C.J. Stroud going against Anthony Richardson. Obviously, Anthony Richardson, who missed most of the season last year with an injury, he comes back, and you want to see how dynamic he can be, especially with someone like Michael Pittman and Downs. Jonathan Taylor. This is a resurging. They're hoping that this is a resurging year for him. But I think the Texans is roster-wise, especially when you talk about roster construction, having Stephon Diggs, having Nico Collins, having Danielle Hunter. This is one of the best teams in football when you just talk about pure roster. And I think that they're better than the Colts, and I have them beating the Colts. CJ Stroud showed me a lot. Yes, he showed the world a lot last year. And I just think they're going to be really good. So I have the Texans beating the Colts. Jags and Dolphins. There's more on the line for the Jaguars. Kind of the same thing I talked about with Jordan Love. You can say the same thing for Trevor Lawrence. You give him an extension. You're hoping that a lot of the demons that have plagued him majority of his career are not there anymore. You don't know, though. But I just think the Dolphins are better overall team. Even though we don't know what's going on with Odell Beckham Jr., I don't really think they need Odell Beckham Jr., but you still have Tyreek Hill, who was ranked the number one player by his peers. Jalen Waddle got an extension. You have Devon Achane. You have more sturdy. I think that the Dolphins are going to be really good, and I think that the Dolphins are better than the Jets. So I have the Dolphins beating the Jets. Panthers at Saints. This game is a lot closer than you think, or than it should be. The Saints should win easily, seeing as though the Panthers aren't that good. But there's still question marks year after year with Derek Carr. We know how good Derek Carr can be. Like when Derek Carr is playing at his best, he's arguably a top 10 quarterback. But when he's playing at his worst, he is the white version of Jameis Winston. He just be throwing the ball anywhere. I think the Saints are going to win. You have a better team, and you should beat the Panthers that are still not that good of a team. But I don't know. We'll see. I have the Saints winning, though. Vikings at Giants. Ooh. This has the potential to be a terrible game. Yeah. Yikes. All right, so let's think about this logically. The Vikings, while they have the best player is Justin Jefferson. The Vikings have Sam Darnold is a starting quarterback. Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback for the Giants. That's a wash, even though I do think Daniel Jones has shown himself to be a tad bit better. You have Malik Neighbors going up against, and then you have Justin Jefferson. Obviously, that's Justin Jefferson, but Malik Neighbors does have promise. Oh, but they both have terrible quarterbacks throwing the ball. I'm going to go with the Giants. I think the Giants defense, you still have DeMarcus Lawrence. You still have a really good defense. I'm going to go with the Giants. That's going to be a bad game. Raiders and Chargers. This game is going to be interesting. The Gardner Minshew era will start on Sunday. And while I'm not the biggest fan of Gardner Minshew, I think that we have to be on Devontae Adams' watch damn near all season because this team is not good, and he's still one of the best wide receivers. And while he did come back and push back on the people saying, he didn't want to play or he wants to be traded. I think he likes Antonio Pierce, who is obviously the head coach, but this Raiders team isn't that good. It has good names like Max Crosby, but that's about it. And then this Chargers team, I don't know. I don't know how healthy they're going to be. I don't know how Justin Herbert's going to look. You have Quentin Johnston. You have Jerry Rice's son. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think the Chargers, you have, if he plays, you have the better quarterback, obviously, in Justin Herbert. But I'm going to go with the Chargers. Broncos and Seahawks. The Broncos are starting Bo Nix. And I think Bo Nix especially, I think he has a chance to be really good in the league, but the Seahawks should win this game. You have Geno Smith playing. You still have DK Metcalf. You still have Tyler Lockett. You have Jackson Njigba. You have Kenneth Walker III. you should win this game. I have the seat. Shouts out though to Patrick Surtain for getting his extension. Also shout out. I didn't say it with the Dolphins. Shouts out to Jalen Ramsey for getting his extension. I think he's the highest paid corner in like NFL history. Shouts out to him. But yeah, I have the Seahawks beating the Broncos. Cowboys at Browns. Now, when I broke down the AFC North, and I said that this is an extremely important year for Deshaun Watson. This is literally a make or break year, in my opinion, for Deshaun Watson. It starts with the Cowboys. You're going against America's team, and you have the better roster. There should be no question that the Browns, that they're a better roster than the Cowboys. Myles Garrett, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, they have a better roster. The issue is, how is Deshaun Watson going to play? If Deshaun Watson comes to play, they should beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys, they still have questions at their, outside of Zach Moss, they still have questions, or Zach Martin, they have questions at the offensive line. They really don't got no running back like that. Their defense, while you have Michael Parsons and Dexter Lawrence, that's about it. Well, Deron Bland, but I don't think he's playing because he's recovering from surgery. But Trayvon Diggs, I'm gonna say the Browns. I think the Browns should win, but I don't know. I have no idea. I'm gonna go with the Browns, but a lot of it is based on Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson plays well, and he needs to play well to win this game, because I think Dak Prescott's going to play pretty well, seeing as though it was a regular season. I don't know, but this is a make or break year for Deshaun Watson, so I have the Browns winning. Commanders at Bucks. Start of an era. Let's go, Jaden Daniels. I got the Commanders. Even though everything in the book is, especially when we talk about defensively, goes to the Bucks, I don't care. Commanders all the way, baby. I got Commanders. Rams and Lions. This is a sneaky good game. Obviously a conference opponent, but I think the Lions is a Super Bowl caliber team, and I don't necessarily think that for the Rams. I think the Rams are aging. I think that they have the opportunity and the ability to score a bunch of points, seeing as though you have Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. They have a high octane offense. I just don't know. I just don't think they're better overall than the Lions. So I have the Lions winning that game. And I think this Monday Night Football, you have the Jets at 49ers. This was a loud offseason for the 49ers, whether we talk about Trent Williams, whether you talk about Brandon Ayuk. This was a loud offseason, and the Jets need to prove that all the hype is real. The Jets need to prove that they're one of the top elite teams. They have the roster for it. Obviously, they trust Aaron Rodgers in that. I think the Jets have to win this game. If we talk about a must-win, the Jets have to win this game against the 49ers. I know. How is a week one must-win? The Jets need to, or at least be close, bro. Like lose from a field goal or something. Aaron Rodgers needs to outplay Brock Purdy. That just needs to happen. Brock Purdy did not look good in the preseason. You need to outplay Brock Purdy. And the Jets, I think they have to win. So I have the Jets winning. That's my predictions, man. And that's today's episode. I want to shout out, I'm not going to go in depth, but shout out Angel Reese for setting the single season rebound record for a player in the WNBA history, like not just rookie, like ever. Shouts out to her. Shouts out to Caitlin Clark. She recorded a second triple-double. And I know they both played against each other, and I think if you let the writers and everybody tell it, the Rookie of the Year is over. Rookie of the Year race, I say, is over. So shouts out to those two. Those are super rookies. for sure. Um, yeah, man. Next episode, obviously, we'll talk about some stuff that happened in college football. The game I'm looking at is Oregon and Boise State. Boise State ain't played no defense, but homie had 6 touchdowns. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited for week 1 of the NFL season. Let me know what you guys think, and obviously on Wednesday we'll reconvene and we'll talk about it. So let me know. If you want a Popular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate all of you guys. If you like the content, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. It means a lot. Also, I understand that some people only watch me on YouTube. Some people only listen to me on DSPs. For all my DSP listeners, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your DSPs, please follow. It definitely means a lot to me. No platform is more important than the other. So wherever you get your Unpopular Podcasts, I appreciate you for even tuning in. Please follow. Also, please follow the socials. Follow Instagram. Follow TikTok. I post pretty much daily. A lot of the shorts that you see on YouTube, they're longer than 1 minute. If you want to see the entire short, go to YouTube. Go to Instagram or TikTok. That's probably where you can see it. If you want to debate with me, go back and forth. Tell me how much you love my take. Tell me how much I'm wrong. That's probably the quickest way to get to me. You keep it respectful. I don't mind going back and forth. It just means that you're listening to me and you're passionate about whatever we're talking about. So Instagram, TikTok, please follow. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, much love.